Welcome to UWI-ROYTEC's Career Conversation series, where inspiration meets insight. Today, we dive into real stories, expert advice, and powerful pathways in teacher education. Your future starts now.
Good day and welcome once again to UWI-ROYTEC's Career Conversation series. My name is Sarika Munyan Makun, Manager Student Services at UWI-ROYTEC, and we are very excited to have you all with us. As we begin the conversation, to guide this discussion on teacher education, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Ms. Genevieve Julian, Director Academic Services at UWI-ROYTEC. Genevieve?
Thank you very much, Sarika. I'm so delighted to be here with our viewers and those on the line with us today as we begin our career conversations with a conversation on teacher education, educators as change makers crafting the future through teaching. Let me introduce our first panelist, Mrs. Renee Gordon. She is a graduate of UWI-ROYTEC from our Certificate in Early Childhood Care and Education program and the Bachelor in Education degree program. So Renee is fondly known as Auntie Ren by her students and parents. She is a passionate principal and director of Ren's Bright Beginners Preschool and Daycare Limited, just one of the institutions that she owns that is focused on education, thriving institutions that have served the early childhood sector for over 9 years. Her journey as an educator began 15 years ago, and has since then, she remains unwavering in her commitment to nurturing young minds. Renee's teaching experience spans both adolescents and adults. She also facilitates early childhood care and education programs through YTEP and the East Port of Spain Development Company. She is also a newly appointed teacher in the public service, where she currently serves at Bookmalatrice RC Primary School, continuing her mission to impact lives through education and at every level. Mrs. Gordon, Renee Gordon, welcome to the conversation. We're happy to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I can't tell you how excited I am to be on the panel and to share any insights at all that will definitely benefit the students that are indeed interested in learning more about the education field.
Great. So I want to dive straight into the conversation because, your experience has spanned both early childhood education, primary, and also young adults as well, and even training in the area of early childhood education. So tell us, what has inspired you to become an educator, and how has your journey evolved over the years?
Well, my inspiration comes from my late grandmother, Miss Margot Batiste, who operated her preschool for over 40 years. Growing up with her, under her care, and I was able to witness firsthand the passion she had for her students and her unwavering dedication to sharing knowledge. And apart from that, she was just an advocate for young children and adolescents. So believe it or not, teaching wasn't my first choice. Actually, I ran from it as fast as I can. But I ventured initially into the media industry as a news reporter, and I had this vision of going to study criminology. But as the saying goes, when we plan, God laughs, because he already know what path he has set forth for us. Or, maybe it was that I didn't run far or fast enough. It could be one of those. But I will definitely say teaching chose me. Once I embraced it, I became one with the profession, and it has been one of the most demanding yet deeply rewarding parts. As you've mentioned, over the years, I've moved from being a classroom teacher to an entrepreneur, to an author, lecturer, and now a public school teacher. So each chapter has added layers to my purpose, and my love for teaching just continues to grow.
All right. So with that said, tell us about your teaching philosophy, because you have transitioned through various levels in teaching. So what is that teaching philosophy? What has grounded you as an educator despite the different levels you have taught in?
For me, I have a combined philosophy, right? It's more than one into one. My teaching philosophy centers around the belief that every child has unique potential waiting to be unlocked, right? That no two children learns the same. And I've even being here as a ECC student at ROYTEC, we've been told this time and time again. If a student cannot learn the way that you teach, then you should teach the way that they learn, right? I know sometimes it could be difficult, but difficult doesn't mean impossible. So I strive to create a safe, inclusive, stimulating environment where my students feel valued and empowered to explore and ask questions and make mistakes as part of their learning journey. I believe in nurturing curiosity, critical thinking, and resilience, preparing them not just academically, but as lifelong learners and future citizens of our country.
Excellent. I know you've spoken as a true UWI-ROYTEC graduate because in our B.Ed program, inclusive education is foundational, it's a pillar. And in this particular course, we teach our graduates that we uniquely empower them to recognize and champion the diverse experiences of every student. And you've just spoken to that, equipping our graduates with the expertise to craft customized plans and pedagogy, which you have alluded to by speaking about teaching the way students learn, right? So thank you for demonstrating that knowledge that you have taken from the program and actually putting it into practice in your own teaching career. But I want to talk a little bit about the relevance of the digital age and the types of students that we are teaching now, right? In the B.Ed program, you would have encountered a course called Learning with Technology. And of course, that course helps to equip our graduates to confidently harness digital tools for innovation, collaboration, and enhanced learning experiences in the classroom. So tell us now about these digital natives that you teach from early childhood all the way up and how you've been able to use tools and technologies to enhance your teaching pedagogy.
Well, I would say, even though I would have done the program, I didn't necessarily apply it as much as I needed at that time. However, the pandemic has taught us so much. I mean, it was not the best, but throughout, I was able to learn a lot. When the pandemic occurred, we were one of the very first preschools. We're not the only one, but we were one of the first preschools to actually transition to online learning, right? There was a lot of, pullbacks. However, because it was something new, we didn't, parents weren't accustomed to it. And it was something we ourselves was becoming quite familiar with. And we were able to start the program online and thrive. Actually, we were able to get articles done on us regarding our innovative way and innovative thinking in terms of incorporating technology. And it was definitely a learning experience. So you were learning as you go because nothing had prepared us for that very quick transition from physical to online. So because of the pandemic, we were able, or myself was able to learn so many different things, learn different platforms that could enhance the learning experience. We use YouTube as typically parents would try to say, I don't want my child on YouTube. They see a lot of nonsense. However, we were able to incorporate YouTube into our teaching as when we're introducing topics, and make it fun and engaging. So it was something that was definitely needed, that program in the B.Ed, because that, even though it was not applied at that time, it was something that really assisted with the journey of transitioning between physical and online, right? And even just this week, when we were doing our end of term evaluation in our preschool, we utilized an app we developed our end of term assessment for our children on an app. So instead of doing a written evaluation, we were able to use devices. So every day for the week, every student would have brought in their tablet, and they actually were so excited about it. And we were like, why just use it during the pandemic? Why not incorporate it throughout the entire learning journey? I mean, we are in the 21st century. Children of today are, I say, they're born with a chip because they know everything about technology. So why not incorporate that in the learning curve with the children one time? So it is something that we definitely incorporate at the preschool level. The primary level, it's a bit more tricky because of access. And the ministry did have something regarding AI and how we could utilize AI within our teaching. And they also asked us for our feedback. And I know one of the core things that teachers would have mentioned is access, not having access to the devices or the necessary tools to be able to incorporate technology in learning. So hopefully at the upper levels, we'll be able to incorporate it a little more and get some more access to these devices or programs that is required to be able to move into the learning phase. But definitely, we have brought the 21st century teaching for the 21st century learners into our preschool already.
Great, good. And you already alluded to how that is being done in the primary school, because that was going to be my next question for you. And you've brought up a really important point about access to education and access to technology to be able to really advance the curriculum or deliver the curriculum for the 21st century learner. And so we recognize already that there are challenges at the level of the primary school in terms of access to the devices or to be able to implement the technology. How have you been able to overcome some of those challenges in the public sector? Because I mean, your ECC, your private school is private, right? It's in the private sector and you are the decision maker. Okay, in the public service, it is structured quite differently. And so the teachers of today really have to be creative and innovative in how they deliver the curriculum when there are challenges like access to technology and so on. So share with us how you've been able to do that in the public sector.
Well, unfortunately, we have not been able to do that wholeheartedly. What I would say is what I tried to do with my class, particularly, is I try to allow the parents to utilize whatever devices they have. So if it's a cell phone, I mean, yes, the cell phone is there to make calls or send messages, but it could also be utilized as a learning tool for the children. So what I did is I actually signed my children up to an online platform. And if ever there was a reason I needed to do reinforcements or I needed to assign an activity for as revision, I would submit or usually assign some assessments for them and communicate with the parents to get them to have the children access it via their phones, because not all children have devices. Yes, I know. All of them don't have a tablet. All of them don't have a laptop. So sometimes it makes it a lot more challenging to be able to incorporate technology in learning. However, thankfully, I have had a class, because I'm no longer with them, but I had a class of parents that were very much willing. It was a challenge because not a lot of parents are, they're not technologically advanced. They really don't know how to utilize technology. And you have to be there now, like this personal coach, going through it with them. Okay, mommy, you have to download this, then you have to sign in here, and then so that in itself was a challenge, but we were able to overcome it. So to answer the question, I have not been able to fully cross that barrier, because one, I am newly appointed. I was only appointed last year. So coming into the system, I am now getting to understand it a little better and trying to see how I can navigate what is already there, navigate whatever little resources we have, while trying to still incorporate the technology through the parents at the time.
And I think that approach is key to success. And what you've described there is that parent-teacher relationship, the importance of that parent-teacher partnership, and the community that you reside around where you are teaching, and how important it is to have parental involvement in the journey of a child's education in a particular school. Now, I know that is something that is learned and discussed at the level of the Certificate in Early Childhood Care and Education program. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. So I want you to share with our audience, based on what you've learned in your program at ROYTEC and in your own career path in early childhood and at the primary school level, some practical ways in which you develop that parent-teacher relationship or build that community to the benefit of the children.
Well, at first, it will come across as being very challenging. It will be like you will feel like you are pushing a boulder up a hill because not everyone is open to change. Everyone is, when you're accustomed doing something one way, it's very hard to get them to see it in a different light. So, first, it will definitely be a bit of a challenge to get the parents on board and be a part of, what it is you would like to do. But I think that coming down to their level helps, breaking it down as much as possible to get them to understand the importance of it, of the importance of being a part of it, and why it is important to incorporate it will help, right? We can't take the approach as I'm the teacher and this is what we are going to do. We can't take that approach. So we definitely have to share a little more. It will, like I said, feel like it's a challenge, but I think open communication with them and making them feel as, they are part of this school community and getting them to see the importance of it will definitely, aid in that area.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. Now, Renee, your career has spanned just over 15 years or so, and you've had a world of experiences at different levels. So can you describe for us a moment in your teaching career, or maybe moments, that reaffirmed your choice to be in education?
Well, you did say it's moment, so it's definitely I don't have a moment, just one defining moment. I have many. Teaching is teaching in a diverse community, a learning community that is, it isn't always easy. It really is not always easy. There is, I question if I'm making a difference, if I am doing enough. But then these small yet powerful things happen. A parent will reach out and just to say thank you, and shares how their child has grown in confidence and started to learn to love to learning again. Sorry. So started to love learning again and expressing how grateful they are for the role that you have played in their child's life. Or a student randomly just looks at you with pure admiration and say, Miss, you are the best teacher in the whole wide world. They just come out with these things. And those moments may seem small, but they do carry so much weight. And the most surreal part is some of my students, well, who I've taught in the past, they are either now writing CSEC, they are either heading off to university, or they are already a part of the world of work. Can you imagine that? I mean, young me, you could see. Right? Already having students reaching those milestones. It's somewhat mind blowing. And that realization, it hits you that I've been a part of their foundation, and that is beyond humbling. So it reminds me of why I do this and, to just keep going.
Great. So I want to talk a little bit about, what should future teachers be prepared for that is not taught in the classroom. So based on your teacher training experience and your actual experience when you went out there in the world of work and in the public sector, let's talk about the difference, and use your lived experience now to share with up and coming teachers about how they can be better prepared and the things they will not learn in the textbook when they go out there. Yeah.
I would say that they should be ready for the unpredictable realities in the classroom. Teaching is emotional labor. No textbook prepares you for the weight of caring deeply for every single child in your class, because that's what it is, right? If you don't love them, then you cannot teach them, right? And I remember one of my mentors actually said that to me. So you have to love every child that you teach, right? The need for adaptability, the balancing act between curriculum demands and the individual student's needs. You will no doubt encounter challenges like the diverse learning styles and behavioral issues, which is a very big factor. And not to mention the external factors that affect students, it affects their lives. It is very vital, as I would have mentioned, loving your students. Yes, that is important, but it is vital to develop emotional intelligence, right? Patience and resilience. I believe that students already know that teaching goes far beyond textbooks and the classroom as well, because you become part of their village, the children's village, that is. You're a teacher, you're a counselor, you're a motivator. Sometimes you are a lifeline, you're the lifeline, or even a safe space for them. So, be prepared for moments when your heart is full and moments when you feel overwhelmed, because it is going to happen. It is real and it's okay. Just remember to care for yourself too. Sometimes that is even something I struggle with to this day, admittedly, making sure to care for you and understanding the importance of your mental health.
Great. And just before I bring our other presenter into the conversation, I just have one more question for you, Rennie, because you alluded to the fact that teachers have to deal with so many realities that they weren't prepared for, and the behavioral challenges and so on. And that segues really nicely into my next question about how aspiring teachers can develop a strong classroom management practice or skill in the classroom. Because when you get into it, in the thick of it, you realize that a lot of what is required is your ability to really manage multiple intelligences in a classroom. And so it comes down to your communication skills. So tell us what that has been like for you, and how then you will advise up and coming teachers, pre-service teachers, in this particular area.
So definitely classroom management is a very important tool, and that is something that is actually taught within the program, right? It is something that is taught within the program. And I would say that understanding the different ways and styles to work with children is very important. There is no one way. There is no one way. I can't say, well, okay, do this strategy and you're going to get this result. You are going to have to come into the classroom and get a better understanding or a better grip of your students. And based on that, then you would be able to formulate a plan, because you must have a plan of action. You cannot go into the classroom and decide, well, I am just going to do this and I'm going to do that and carry it out. That's not how it works. You have to go in and you have to get a better understanding of the children that you're working with. It's important to get a little background as well. I know sometimes you will say, listen, your personal business is your own and I don't want to know, but it is important for you to understand all of that, so that when you have everything in a synopsis, you're able to now sit down and say, okay, what developmentally appropriate strategies I could use to be able to manage, whether it be is the children's behavior, whether it's their academic challenges, right? So I don't want to say, well, use this strategy or these two strategies work, because every classroom is different and every teacher, their way of teaching is different. So definitely going into the system, going into the classroom, because it was a culture shock for me, going into the public system, very much so. But I was able to navigate, right, and get a better understanding of how the school at large operate, and then
Mhm.
understand the parents, and then lastly the children. And I was able to formulate a plan that was able to assist me in moving them from one point to another point, which I mean is a successful point. So
Yeah.
I would definitely, that would be my advice to students going to, who's going into this field or profession. Just go in with an open mind and get a better understanding, and then you'll be able to rule out all of these different classroom management strategies that you would have learned throughout your program at UWI-ROYTEC.
Okay, fantastic, Auntie Ren. So I want to point the spotlight now on our other panel member who has just joined us, Dr. Wilson Henderson Jr., who is a lecturer at UWI-ROYTEC, where he teaches in the Management Studies discipline. With a passion for education and student development, he brings real-world experience from both the public and private sectors, helping to bridge the gap between classroom learning and the national educational priorities. Throughout his career, Dr. Henderson has led initiatives aimed at strengthening organizational performance and driving positive change. He holds a PhD in Management Studies with research focused on public sector job performance and leadership. Known for his interactive teaching style and commitment to student success, Dr. Henderson enjoys mentoring young professionals and guiding them as they navigate their own career journeys. Dr. Henderson, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Apologies for being late. Just was taken up with many different competent priorities at the same time, but very happy to be here, colleagues, and those who brought in new teachers that are interested in the profession.
Great, thank you. So I want to jump right into the conversation because we're shifting gears now. We were talking about educators at the level of the early childhood educator and the primary school educator. But your career in teaching or your career in education has been quite a different one because you teach at the tertiary level, So tell us what inspired you to become an educator and how has your journey evolved over the years?
I think one of the critical things for me in terms of human development, it was my own personal vision
Mhm.
to change the world in terms of reducing poverty.
Yeah.
And the way that I executed that vision was the passion that I had for educating young people. And when I say young people, I think at the tertiary level, we all work towards the educating young minds to grow them mentally to a place where they can then contribute positively to society and, of course, increase their standard of living. So I think that's one of what drove me into tertiary education, and also that desire to help persons, also progress, through their own life challenges and careers. So I think that married with, what the tertiary education offers in terms of opportunities to go into anything that you feel passionate about, from management to education to even creative arts, for example. A number of students come to me from different faculties or different sectors of society in which they're interested in, and they learn about things. So it's about learning something new and applying that knowledge back into the workplace, which is very valuable, not only for these students and graduating students, but for employers and for those persons who choose entrepreneurship. So I think this is something really important for people in our society to understand, that their careers, whether they see, the university has provided an opportunity for them to get a job, but also as a way to also learn about providing employment for others through entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Great. And you brought up a really important point there about entrepreneurship. And I'm so glad that you've joined the discussion and you have raised that issue, because one of the things about Renee Gordon is that she would have started or married her vision of education with her passion for entrepreneurship when she opened her own ECC center, and which has so much evolved into primary school education and her even tapping into her entrepreneurial skills when she does training and development in the field of education as well. So can you talk a little bit about the impact of tertiary education in developing
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial skills within our population and so on, and how that impacts um, education
Mm-hmm.
in a large scale?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. And I want to harp on this because a lot of people feel that university is only a place for you to learn or get a degree and then you go and get a job. And you don't really need any exposure to the university in order to become an entrepreneur. And whilst that might be true for many of us, at some point in your career as an entrepreneur, you'll have to learn about finance, you'll have to learn about managing people, and you'll have to learn about the different skills that entrepreneurial courses that you, you know UWI-ROYTEC offers that will allow you to change how you do business and grow, especially with starting something new and bringing something that provides value to society. But certainly, the skills that you will learn in the programs, the structured programs at the university or the institution will allow you to manage and sharpen those skills that you need for the real world. And that's where the true value comes from enrolling in one of these programs because many people may say, well, yeah, and I would like you, because I tell entrepreneurial students all the time, I'd like you to develop a financial statement, do a cash flow statement, or do a balance sheet, or do an income statement. And the only way to get those skill sets is by really going to school and learning about it. And not only learning about it, practicing it in a very meaningful way so then you could get those aha moments and go back and apply it to your business. So, the entrepreneurial journey is in parallel to your formal education journey. I remember right at UWI-ROYTEC, all of you very familiar with Bertie's pepper sauce.
Yes.
And we had one of Bertie's directors taking classes in, learning about leadership, learning about management, because they want to improve their business. And look at what, the brilliant things that they're doing today. So I want to encourage all of you. We think about entrepreneurship as this thing that you don't need a degree for, but when you actually start doing it, you realize quite quickly how much of the skills that you don't know are required to really grow a business and do very well. And that's where formal courses come in to help you learn so that you can navigate those challenges in the real world. So I'm a big advocate for formal education, but also education with a purpose to help you either contribute to wider society by employing more others. And when you employ others, you need to learn how to manage them and manage them successfully in order for your business to thrive and grow.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you really shared some nuggets there with us, because some persons who may be on the line or may be looking, and let's say they have been waiting for quite a long time for the Ministry of
Mm-hmm.
Education to call them in for an interview. I know there are many persons out there who are holders of Bachelor of Education degrees and many other types of degrees, because if you want to teach at the secondary school level, then you must have a degree in the area in which you want to teach. And you may be on this very long waiting list, and you're losing hope. What advice would you give to students who feel uncertain about their future at this time, or graduates of programs who feel uncertain? In the context of what you just said about entrepreneurship and about creating value.
Yeah. So I do want to say that whilst you wait on opportunities to enter the teaching service, certainly just like any other students who, graduate and get into the wider workplace, you have to find an avenue that you think that is you're passionate about and you feel that you can do something great with your time, and there's nothing wrong with, as we wait on being called for interview and getting a good, secure job in the teaching service or any of the public service, the government service or private sector. But certainly if you feel like, you can contribute to society by providing something that society values, by all means, I encourage all of you graduate students or potential students to do that. I often like to tell students about the story about, KFC, how KFC started, and Colonel Sanders was 65 years old. He just retired from his job and he didn't know what he was going to do with the remainder of his life. And he thought to himself, what am I good at? And he realized that he was very good at frying chicken. People loved his fried chicken, and thus KFC was born. Now, many students here know very well that they buy KFC every day, so they've kind of supported his vision. A very simple thing like frying chicken got KFC to where it is in the world today. So students, do not be daunted by, or potential students or graduates, don't be daunted by the fact that you've graduated and now you're waiting on something to do. Seize the opportunity that you think you're passionate and you're good at. I have many students right now who think that, they're doing things. They're selling cakes. They take orders for meals. They sew. They plan events. You name it. There are a lot of entrepreneurial things that people do that allow them to really find their passion and what they're good at. Even I've had in the past influencers in my class, and just last couple of semesters, I had someone who was the DJ for Kess, and students and graduates, they find things that they're really good at and they pursue it, because it brings meaning to their lives. So, having a corporate job is great. That's nothing is wrong with that. But certainly also being an entrepreneur and working for yourself and, also doing something that, brings you joy, I think is so super important for those who really think about what they would like to do with their time.
Mm.
So yeah.
Would you say then that entrepreneurial skills are innate or they can be developed? Would you say then that alongside whatever degree you are doing or whatever profession you choose, or even if your choice is to be an educator, that you should engage in entrepreneurial studies, do a course in entrepreneurship to, uncover those skills or develop them? Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that UWI-ROYTEC offers you a great catalog of courses where you could choose from that will develop and really hone those entrepreneurial skills. Entrepreneurship is important, but they also, I think, on the side or parallel to the formal skills that you will learn in any good degree program or any associate degree program or any diploma. UWI-ROYTEC has this great program for real estate persons. They join and they learn skills in terms of how to manage their real estate businesses, and then they go out into the world and they sell real estate. They sell homes, they rent, so they participate in that industry too. So even if you think that, as you wait to become an educator, or you feel passionate about doing something that you think you would like to learn more about, think about some of the programs that UWI-ROYTEC has that you could probably undertake in, and then that will help you to probably figure out or guide you into a new direction that you probably didn't see before. Because as technology changes the world around us today, we have to adapt and change, because as persons, we realize quite quickly how technology is evolving at a rapid pace that would, ensure that all of us have to continuously reskill and learn about new things as we seek to be competitive in the world today. So I do want to encourage all of you, think about what new programs that you may want to do and what the skills that you learn from doing those programs and how that will help you towards achieving your own vision, your own goals and objectives that you have for yourself. So I just want to keep encouraging you that, if you're not in a job right now, the best time to learn something new is now. Something that whilst you wait, or whilst you find your passion, this is the time for you to undertake and really do something, useful with your time.
Great.
Yeah.
So you have a very different view of education, a humanitarian view, an entrepreneurial view of
Mhm.
education. Was there a mentor, possibly a pivotal experience that you had in your own in your life that helped shape your journey in education and some of these perspectives that you hold today?
Well, I must tell you that that's a great question, Ms. Julian. I think in my own life, I've come from a very humble background. My parents, my dad, and my mom, they weren't wealthy people. But I remember my mom telling me this: the only way for me to be able to lift yourself out of poverty is you need to get an education. So, she dreamt for me what she couldn't dream for herself. My mom, she she was able to only go up to what we call now at primary school level. She couldn't afford to go to secondary school. And she realized quite quickly in life, even though she's very intelligent, very, very intelligent woman, she didn't have the opportunity that she wanted us to have. So I think from early on, my parents were the ones that taught me this very important life lesson that if you wanted to, escape poverty, it was really as the Prime Minister, or first Prime Minister said, it's in your school bags. That's where it came first for me. And I am a living testament to that journey that education has brought me out of poverty. And I want to encourage all of you, if you do not believe it, then read a little bit about my history and you would see for yourself that, the only way out is to be able to educate yourself. You may change jobs, but education, you'll always have that with you. So I want to encourage all of you to think about that. Think about your own parents, and they always want the best for you. They always want for you to be better than them, and I think that if you discover that in your own journey, you will meet great people along the way. Like in my own university history, I met great professors who've, mentored and cheered me on and got me to this point. And that's what lecturers and teachers supposed to do, even at primary and secondary school level. They mentor and guide you and root for you so that you go on to do great things. And I hope that all of you here could at least remember one teacher in your life that really believed in you. And because of that person, you decided to go on with your education and not stop. So think about that. And for me, that was my defining moments throughout my career. Everyone who believed in me, even right now, as Julian invited me here, she believes that, I can positively impact you to think about who are your cheerleaders to help you get to that point where you think you can look back and said, yes, I did a good job. I did something with my life to help others.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. And just before we wrap up, I want to invite Ms. Gordon back into the conversation with us. Rennie, share with us. I mean, we've heard from Dr. Henderson and his reference to his early years and his mother being his inspiration for the success that he now is and all those other persons that he's met along his life journey, professors at university and so on. In your particular case, is there a mantra, a quote, a personal philosophy that has guided your career and life decisions?
Yes, yes, there is. My life is driven by this truth, this statement that I am purpose in motion. I move with that, right? That for me is more than just a mantra. It's a mindset and a mission. It means I move throughout life with deep intention and bold energy and a fearless commitment to breaking barriers. I'm not here to simply do what is expected. I'm here to challenge norms and shift systems and reimagine what's possible. right? I show up with joy, resilience, and fire. I remember my current principal in the public school would have used a statement that, Miss, you're like a live wire, you know. Anything it touches, it just, you know. So I show up with joy, resilience, and fire because I know the work I do has impact, you know, whether it be in the classroom or behind the scenes. I have never been one to color inside the lines, right? I believe in creating new templates and asking why not instead of, you know, settling for, well, that's just how it's been done, right? There's just a kind of power in knowing why you are here. So knowing why I'm here, my purpose is very important to me. And even on extremely hard days, because God knows I have those, I think we all have. We all have those very hard days, you know, that sense of purpose keeps me grounded. It reminds me that I'm not just teaching, I am transforming lives. I am not just managing, I am mentoring. I'm not just dreaming, I am building legacies, right? I am purpose in motion. I have to keep that in mind. And that's the standard that I carry into everything I do, trailblazing, disrupting, and lighting a path for others to rise, basically.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, Auntie Ren. And to Dr. Henderson, we have had a very, very intriguing conversation today. So if you are considering a career in education, I hope that what our panel members have shared with you this afternoon has served as motivation, as inspiration, has changed your view of education and the impact that educators will continue to make till the end of time. So thank you for joining us on today's Career Conversations in Education. I wish you all a great rest of the day and a special thank you to our panel members.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Series. Thank you for joining the UWI-ROYTEC's Career Conversation series. We hope these insights have inspired you to take bold steps towards your future. Remember, your journey doesn't stop here. We invite you to connect with us in person at our Open Day and Career Fair on August 9th at the UWI-ROYTEC North Campus, where you can explore programs, meet industry professionals, and discover opportunities designed just for you. Your future is waiting. Let's build it together. See you there.